Welcome to this week's layout. I'm Anita with beandesigns.com. I'm here to help you create awesome digital scrapbook layouts by sharing my layouts with you. This is week 24 of 52 DigiScrap layouts in 52 weeks using GIMP, which is a free open source Photoshop alternative. The most recent version of GIMP at the time of this recording is 2.10.20. That is the version I'm using. You can see my other tutorials here on my channel on how I set up my GIMP for use in creating digital scrapbook layouts. I have information on the digital kits used in this layout provided in the description box, along with any tutorials that I've created which I think might relate to this layout that you could potentially be interested in. Here is this week's layout and its partner page, which I will do a video on for next week. On this layout, I have 6 photos from the ceremony. 5 of them I cropped and scaled to be 900 pixels square, just highlighting the couple, and then I left one of the photos as a rectangle at 900 pixels wide. I have two digital papers in the layout, one for the background and one for the large mat, which will go horizontally from this page over to the partner page. I then put stitching at the bottom and the top of the mat. I inked the edges on the photos to help them to stand out, and I put a collage of flowers here at the bottom right. I've got a ribbon, some greenery. I've got 5 of the white flowers with beaded centers, and then 3 of the roses. I put these at different sizes, and the white flowers I left at the same size. There's 5 of the white flowers and 3 of the pink. Odd numbers tend to work better for just aesthetically. So let's get started with our layout. I have it set up here. This is the 3600 by 3600 pixels per inch layout page ready for printing once I'm all done. I have the 6 photos cropped and sized and placed on the layout. So I also along here have all of my elements and things that I'm going to put in on the layout. I have my 2 digital papers. I have my white flower, my pink flower. I have my stitching. I have my center bead, my greenery, and my ribbon. So let's drag and drop the 2 papers onto our layout. Blue paper. So with the blue paper layer active, I'm going to use my crop tool. I'm going to draw a rectangle, and then I'm going to go over to the toolbar and I'm going to make it confirm that it's 3600 wide and 2600 tall. You see that it have changed it there. I'm going to click inside the highlighted area. Then I'm going to use my move tool and put this into the center of my layout. I'll see here that one of my photos got hidden. I look over on my layer palette and I see that when I brought in my papers, these 2 papers were on top of my photos. So I'm just going to drag and drop to reorder that. Now they're all in order and can be seen. So let's go ahead and bring in our stitching. So I'm going to drag and drop my stitching onto my image. I'm going to use my move tool to click on one of the stitching lines, drag it down, duplicate that layer, and place it along the top edge. You see that the lines are longer than the image, so I'll just go to layer, layer to image size, make this layer active, layer to image size. Now I'm going to bring in the ribbon and the greenery, the pink flower. We're going to have 3 of the pink flowers, and we're going to have 5 of the white flowers. And you can see they start out very close to the same size, so we will use our scale tool to make them the size that we want. And this is going to be the center of our white flower. So I'm going to go down to the bottom and go ahead and right click on my transform tool to do a rotate. I'm going to rotate the ribbon to place it at an angle. Then I'm going to right click, make scale, and let's reduce the size of the ribbon. And I can then move it into place. So we don't want to cover over our person too much, kind of just run it along the edge of the photo. So we're going to do rotate once again. And I'm going to go ahead and drag this down to where it's near the ribbon so that when I do the scale, I have a visual of what it looks like. So just a tad bit smaller. Can grab the center so that you can move it. So let's put that there. Let's scale it there. Move up to the pink flower, and we're going to make the largest pink flower a little smaller than what it comes at. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to duplicate it, move it over, and we're going to make it smaller again. Scale. Then we'll duplicate it, move it over to here. And actually, let's go ahead and just leave it the same size. We're going to leave both of them. And now we'll move to the white flower. I'm going to move it into place so I can see what size it needs to be. And I'll like that size. Now I'm going to duplicate it 4 times for a total of 5 flowers. And how about let's just zoom in a tad bit so that you can see better what we're doing. So we're going to scale the bead to be the center of this flower. Okay, and then we'll duplicate that 4 times. So now let's move our move tool and let's put a white flower and a white flower. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so I think I want, oh, this is the one that needs to be moved. Where does it need to go? There, let's put it there. Let's put this one back here. And then I'm gonna just move my beads to be on top of the center of each of the white flowers. And we will zoom out So I have my display navigation here on my toolbar. So I'm just going to zoom till all of the layout is visible. Take a look and see if I'm pleased with the layout. I would then go in and start adding dimension. I would duplicate my pink layer, select a feathered and rounded selection of that layer. I would delete the selected part, add a multiply mode to the remaining, and I could reduce the opacity to what it my preference. I would do the same on the mat. I duplicated the mat layer twice and then selected and multiplied and adjusted the opacity. And then on that second copy of our mat, we're going to alpha to selection and select a tiny area around the edge to add a multiply mode to. There are detailed information on how to do this in the tutorial about adding dimension. I would work up my layer palette, adding shadows to my flowers, inking the edges of my photo. And when I'm all finished with that, I would save my image in the GIMP native.xcf file, which would maintain all of my layers so that I could come back and alter this image if I think of something I want to add or subtract or change. I would export my image as a JPEG so that I have it ready to print into my bound book album. And I would also do a reduced JPEG file for sharing digitally. With everything all saved, I'm ready to move on to my next layout. As I'm working through preserving my memories for my future generations, and I'm inviting you to join me, I'd like to encourage you and I'd like to support you in your journey. Free templates of each of my 52 weekly layouts are available on my website at www.beandesigns.com. Each template is available as the layout video is released. If you enjoyed this video, and I hope you did, please like it and check out my channel for the other layout videos as well as the tutorials for ways to use GIMP in creating great digital scrapbook pages. While you're there, feel free to subscribe and click the bell so you will be notified when I do release a new video. In the meantime, keep on preserving your memories for future generations through your digital scrapbooking. Bye bye until next week.